for Chase's press conference and then back to New York. Hold on. Can you see the sunset?
Holy shit.
That is something else.
That's unbelievable.
It's not. Probably my hair. Kelly, can you do a favor? Can you go to the balcony and take pictures of the sunset? No, maybe we'll do the interview outside.
Get that sunset in the background.
Whoa. Wait. Whoa. Kelly, move. Wait. Literally move. Kelly. Oh. Imagine just. Wait. No, you can't even. Wow. Make sure to get this in the clip.
That's unbelievable.
Wait, this is crazy. Okay, we can put this in the bloopers. I gotta take a pic. How even the camera never does justice. Wow. Doesn't even look good on my phone. Yeah. God's like, stop taking pictures and just enjoy it. Never.
No one lives in the moment. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's not on Instagram. It did not happen.
Jack, I guess you're booking this. You had questions for me.
Jack O'Hara. Boy, you asked me some interesting questions, my man.
Jack, hey, it's Josh Ryder.
Hey there, Jack O'Hara. It's Johnny Damon.
Jack O'Hara, absolutely.
What's up, Jack?
Well, Jack.
You know, those are some good questions, Jack.
Hey, Jack. How you doing?
Hello, Bob Saget. How's it going, man?
Jackie, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Jack? Listen, man, you know, you asked me a couple questions.
Jack, right?
That's right, man.
Hey, Jack.
Jack O'Hara.
Anybody call you John?
It is another edition of the O Show podcast, live from Las Vegas. Walk with me, buddy.
It's my first chance to eat today, and I can't eat without watching TV at the same time. So I put on The Last Dance.
Have you checked out? You're a big basketball person. I'm a huge baseball guy, so I've been checking out the Jeter documentary.
The which documentary?
The Derek Jeter one.
I don't want to upset you, but I just went to. Is this recorded? It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I just went to a restaurant opening, and I was like flexing how I interview basketball players, obviously, because how not. And she's like, "Oh my God, did you see Derek Jeter?" I'm like, "Where?" And she's like, "Oh no, he just walked out. He's been here for the last 2.5 hours." And I was like, "There's no way I just missed Derek Jeter," and he did.
I don't know what I'm more upset at, the fact that you missed him and didn't get that opportunity, or the fact that he was just there and I just missed it entirely living out in Arizona.
No, the fact that I didn't even like acknowledge his presence pissed me off.
Yeah, I would be too. You'll get another opportunity.
I hope so.
Do you interview more than, obviously, you know, basketball is kind of your forte, but like, are you looking to like interview like across, like obviously entertainment in general?
Yeah, so lately a lot of opportunity has come up in like celebrity boxing. So the next event I'm hosting is Austin McBroom versus Anderson. Is his name?
It's a short last name. I do know the
kid.
My buddy Chase Demore's on it.
Oh, Chase! Oh my God, Chase is great.
Chase is awesome. He's done really good for himself the past year.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun though. That because like with my show the past 5 or so years, I've tried to interview people in sports, in music, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and then you know people like us that interview people, which is always fun because I always love learning from other people how they got there too. I saw that you were at Blue Wire Studios recently as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for the NBA Summer League that weekend.
Me too. First weekend.
Were you there the entire weekend? Like all 4, 5, 6? I think it was like 2 weeks or something like that.
Oh, I wasn't there 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Tuesday, I flew to LA for the day. No, I don't know if view's prettier, the buildings or the sunset. Both. We just moved in here, so it's like we're like very wowed at everything that goes on.
Where is it?
Aventura, Miami.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you familiar with it?
A little bit.
Where are you from?
Originally Manhattan. Now I'm out in Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix? What brought you there?
The weather. The weather and the opportunity.
That's true. That is true.
You only got to live in the big cities while you're young.
That's true. You're right. Okay, no more distractions. What is wrong with my hair? All right, whatever. We're just going to do it anyway.
I used to have hair as long as yours, too. Now I'm
Really?
trying to grow
No
it back.
way. No way.
I had long hair, then I had short hair. I had no idea what to do with it, and I buzzed it all, and now I'm growing it back slowly but surely.
That's cool. I rock with it.
Yeah, we're figuring it out. Got to go through the lows to get back to the highs. So let me see here. Didn't you originally live in New York?
I was born and raised, yeah.
Yeah, and now you're.
I still live there.
Are you like in the process of moving?
Not full time, but like definitely heavily considering it if the Heat want to hire me. Miami Heat, if you're watching this, I'm looking for a reason to move here.
So did you just move there just because like it was like the ideal fit, not for like a specific job?
No, my family bought a second home here,
Oh, that's nice.
so I'm just gonna enjoy it.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I only get to visit back east in the winter, like the worst time to be there.
Oh no, I told myself if we have an opportunity to be anywhere besides New York, unless it's colder, of course. Um, I'm not spending the winter in New York because I'm still in college and I had classes in the winter. And walking from class to class, I would actually cry because of how cold it was. Like I would cry.
Everyone's in a shitty mood all the time too.
Yeah, it makes me miserable. Like I come home, I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to go under a blanket and just like leave me alone.
Yep, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. That's and what are you, junior, senior, wrapping up school?
So my senior semester is going to start in like 2 weeks. I haven't made my schedule yet because I find it really hard to like have them accommodate how many little credits I can take because I'm busy. Like I remember I started off last semester. I think it was Super Bowl week and I missed a lot of class because I was actually there and my professor was not happy about it. And I was like, listen, school can't keep me from a job. It's supposed to be school enables you to get a job, not the opposite. And they don't get it. They just don't.
Damn
I
straight.
think I'm like, I don't know what they think I'm doing. Like this isn't.
We're gonna be like the last generation, I think, that's gonna be forced to like go to college, or at least like parents think like you have to go to school in order to like be successful.
Yeah,
'Cause
I mean,
anybody
it's
can
not
just build
even
their own
that.
stuff.
Just have you heard of a broadcaster without like a journalism degree of some sort?
Yeah.
Never.
Well, like play by like the older generation, like the people in their 50s and 60s that have been doing like the Bob Costases of the world for sure.
Yeah, it's for
But
sure.
yeah, like us, not really.
Exactly.
All those Barstool personalities, John Boy Media, even some of the people that work at Blue Wire I've talked to, like, nope, we didn't go to school.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. My dad always says, unless you want to be a lawyer, doctor, or engineer, you're wasting your time. And he's kind of right.
100%.
I got a year left. Power
So
through.
like how did kind of like all like what's kind of the driving force for you when it comes to all of that stuff? Kind of starting at a young age, was it like parent influence? Was it just what was it?
Honestly, not really. I had a pretty different game plan. I never had like a super dream to work on TV and stuff. Like I noticed very young that I did have a talent for speaking to people. So like starting in pre-K, my mom loves to say this to me as if like it's an insult. She'll be like, your teachers always said you have no filter. Your teachers always said you don't stop talking in class since pre-K, since kindergarten. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I was just born like that. And then I noticed when I got older, like I just connect pretty well to people. And I tell everyone I can make a wall talk if I felt like it. So interviewing, communications, public speaking. My dad always says, like, you speak so confidently that if you tried to persuade somebody that the sky was purple, you could probably get away with it. And I think it's a skill. So you have to take advantage of what you're good at.
I think the sky's literally purple outside right now
I mean,
at sunset.
Here it's literally like some fire purple bruise color. I don't know what's going on here.
I think you only get that in Florida too.
Yeah.
So that's absurd. It's nothing but orange with a hint of pink in Phoenix.
Yeah.
No, but that's crazy. I grew up very insanely introverted to the point where like if you told my parents I'd be working for like ESPN one day or doing a podcast 5 years plus and like talking to people all the time for hours on end, it'd be like no fucking way. And like so like I was very different in that sense where I kind of clicked later on, able to have like really cool, genuine conversations with people to where they were like, why don't you like start a show or something? I'm like, I could never
Oh my
do that.
God, that's great.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I'm doing, but I guess we're still doing it. Some companies are
Something
investors. So
worked, right?
yeah, right. It's crazy. And you kind of correct me if I'm wrong. The journalism thing, is that relatively new within the last couple of years?
Journalism major.
Like in the sense of like wanting to pursue like a sports journalist career.
It started around the same time COVID started.
Yeah.
And I explain in a lot of interviews, I feel like the reason is just we had a lot of time. And what do you do when you have a lot of time off besides binge watch Netflix? You just have time to think and reflect. And upon reflection, I realized like, hey, I don't love this whole biology chemistry course I'm taking. I was good at it, don't get me wrong. And it's been like always in the back of my mind, like just become a doctor, it's kind of what we do. And I just didn't like it. And my dad's like, I've been telling you since you're a kid, I want to see you on TV. You're too good at talking to not do it for a living. And my grandpa told me the same thing, but I never took it seriously. I just took it as like a compliment. Okay, I'm good at talking.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. I mean, when was the first time you did a TV like segment? And was it comfortable? Like,
Live
was it
or like
initially comfortable?
interview?
Both. Interview, like obviously live and just recording content are two completely different things.
Hold on, I
And
can
for,
tell you the first thing I ever did.
and for people out there that don't think that they're two completely different things, you've never done live TV before.
It's basically picture one is you're in such a controlled environment that if you mess up, you can ask again versus live where it's pure chaos and things change last minute. I remember I was hosting a fight last year, actually at the Hard Rock Stadium here in Miami. And as the kid is standing next to me, we're about to start the interview. They're like, never mind, he has to go out, go. And
really?
they just completely cancel the whole thing. And then they're like, all right, next. Crazy.
Ugh. That's brutal, especially when you're like excited for a segment or it's like, oh, I went out of my way to do this. And it's like, oh, sorry, kid.
Or when you prepare for so long.
Yeah.
Okay. This is funny. Are you familiar with Drew Binsky?
Yeah.
Drew was my first interview.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh my gosh.
That's really fun.
So it started with Drew, and then the next one was Enes Cantor. And it's funny because Drew and Enes are actually friendly too. And what kind of inspired me to start was just like, I knew I wanted to get into sports, but I didn't really have like a clear path of how I'm going to do it. But I was like, let me at least start practicing like the skill of interviewing where if I hope nobody goes and looks, but if you look at my first couple of interviews, they were not cute, very unorganized. You could tell there was like no direction. It was kind of just, kind of a conversation. It felt very podcasty, but my intention was to have it as an interview. But it was all fun and games, like I don't even know if I was 18 at the time. Might have been 17. And it was just like supposed to be a fun hobby to keep people busy during this horrible time in the world. And when I noticed like, hey, people are actually watching this, I decided to get a broadcast coach. And she was like, terrible, fix that, terrible, fix this, fix that. And it worked.
Yep. I've been there. Wow. So before, I think I started 18. 18 was my first like play-by-play experience, had a few internships. And then podcast I did since high school, but like it was just like in the basement talking with my brother, doing whatever, talking about the Yankees or anything. And then it wasn't till around COVID when nobody had anything better to do where I was like, I'm going to start reaching out to bigger names because nobody has an excuse not to talk to you anymore. And then that's when the ball gets rolling. You talk to bigger names, you get more views. People are actually starting to look at your stuff and you're like, okay, I can actually brand this into a business now and build really cool relationships. So at what point, I'm trying to think who my first interview was. I interviewed Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, like probably within the first 20 episodes that I've ever did, like when I was really, really bad. Like I said, I was an introvert growing up. So the first 50, honestly, the first like 200 episodes I ever did, you probably look back at it and be like, oh my God, like I never listened to this. I would never listen to this. And he was Dave Portnoy, generous enough to take the interview, still kind of, Dave Portnoy. I'll put it as that. But I mean, that's crazy because it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to go out of your way to be like, I need to get better by hiring a coach either. Because there's a lot of people who think like, okay, I'm I'm progressing, but you don't really know because nobody really gives you honest feedback. You were able to get a coach
Right.
early on.
I noticed it was worthwhile when I interviewed Mitchell Robinson on the Knicks. Well, Enes Kanter's was a very big audience as well. But I noticed specific people like MSG Networks looking at all my stuff and liking and sharing. And I was like, wow, okay. If they're having their eyes on me, I might want to get a little bit better at this because this could be something serious. And the beginning, it was more Instagram lives, like fan engagement type thing. Because again, we're all bored at home. Nobody has anything better to do. So I'd have a fan ask me a question, and then I would be basically the bridge between the Knicks fans and Mitchell Robinson and just have him like answer some of the questions. And then I did that with everyone. And obviously, after a couple of interviews, I was like, maybe it's worthwhile to do it on Zoom because Instagram's chaotic. The comments are wild. It crashes. It's harder to record. And there was just like a very clear idea. I'm like, let's do this on Zoom. Let's take away the fan questions. I'll start writing my own questions and make it more like serious than fun. Also, the pandemic was starting. I wouldn't say coming to an end, but it was definitely like getting a lot less intense. And I was like, this is going to move off of Zoom soon. You have to get your stuff together. Right. And that's what we tried to do.
No, I mean, you've already gotten, because again, to get into these events, you have to be somebody, you have to be credentialed, you have to have the connections in order to do it, right?
Yeah.
You're obviously doing something right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. At what point did you realize, because again, podcasting and live TV, kind of like the broadcast format, also two completely different things, as opposed to having like a genuine conversation where you kind of just relax talking, and as opposed to like a broadcast where you kind of have to be perfect, not as like perfect, but you want it to sound a different way. Like, at what point did you realize that like, I'm really, obviously at one hand, really good at this, but also knowing how to balance both those of what you want it to sound like and how you want it to look like on camera?
I still find myself like often beating myself up after an interview because let's say it was more conversational, which if you look at like my recent interviews with Josh Giddey and Chet Holmgren, we're like sitting in a controlled, calm environment and it's supposed to be conversational. And for the most part, they were. But I find my sideline reporter coming out, which is very different than a conversation, as you know, where it's supposed to be like, so Chet, you and Josh had some sort of idea of what it's like to play together. And instead of like, so Chet, you and Josh had a little glimpse of what it's going to look like. That doesn't sound conversational.
Right.
But sometimes it just comes out and I'm like, no, relax, you're talking. But then for the whole last season for Hofstra University, I'm like sitting in a crowded arena screaming into a microphone, you had a buzzer beating shot. What was going through your mind? And it's like, you have to turn that switch on and off. Like, this is a conversation. This is exciting interviews. Know the difference. And I guess it's just with reps, you know, you just get used to it.
Yeah, it's very different. I did, what was it? It was like the NBA Summer League. They had like the podcast studio in section, whatever, like 120 or whatever. I did it with Noah Eagle and Jason Zone Fisher. And it was like, it was a podcast, but it was in like a broadcast environment, like kind of like the exact same setup as like a pre and post game show would have. And I'm sitting there doing it and I'm like, this is a podcast, but I'm sounding like a total broadcaster right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like trying to keep it like almost like Joe Rogan-esque cool, you know, without it being a broadcast. And like, I go to like my coaches and my broadcast teams that I've worked with in the past being like, you should have been way more like chill, energetic, and like, it should have been more like scripted. I'm like, I don't know. That's not the way like the show goes, but I understand with like the format that it was at, especially with the names that were there sitting there. I'm like, oh, they're treating it like a broadcast. I definitely should have treated it like a broadcast.
Yeah. I don't know which one, like, I don't want to say the word prefer. It's different. I guess that's the only word to describe it. Like, studio environments are so relaxed. If you have a teleprompter, you're good, but most of the time you don't. And then the sideline, like we said earlier, is just more chaos. So you get it. The play-by-play is also like sometimes controlled, sometimes chaotic. I give a lot of credit to play-by-play though.
It's not that easy.
Yeah, I feel like if I were to ever want to do that, I would have to seriously almost like, I don't even know what course I would take. But that is, you're constantly speaking. You need to have so much information prepared. If the game is not interesting, it's like you need to know how to come up with things out of thin air. bounce off of one another, make sure you have good chemistry. That's hard.
That was the hardest thing in school, is having someone that you have good chemistry with on air.
Yes.
I was fortunate to have one or two, but for the most part, you're working with people that are either not as passionate about you as it, or they just aren't as knowledgeable and they don't prepare as much. And then you find yourself with just like dead air, and it's just like, it's
Oh,
not
no.
going well. Even though, like 40 people are watching at most, like the players' parents or whatever, but it's still like, damn, to those 40 people, this is not good entertainment.
Yeah.
No, it's difficult, but it is what it is. And like I've watched like the interview with Chet that you did. Like you could, like, how difficult is it bouncing off people? Like, how do you know when you're clicking with someone in a conversation on camera, and when you know that you kind of have to go out of your way to ask certain questions to get them going?
Oh, okay. I had one interview. I'm not going to name names. I literally cried after that interview. I was like, he was so bad. He didn't give me anything to work with. And don't get me wrong. You see, I think in the chat interview, you can see right there on the counter, I have a notepad. Before the interview, I come in with talking points, just in case questions. Would rather not go there, but if you have to go there, questions. And I hope that when I go in, I start off with one scripted question and the rest just flows. But you're right, you get those players that will sometimes give you like a one-word answer or just be very bland. And then my best strategy when it comes to that is just on to the next. Obviously, I prefer conversational, but if they won't give it to you, it takes two to tango. You can't do it alone.
I think athletes are very difficult, especially young athletes.
You think so?
I think because
opposite.
Some of them aren't used to like getting like a ton of media attention, or they just don't like it, right? Because like I've interviewed like veterans and they're all for it because they've done it and they know what to expect.
That's
I feel
crazy. I found the exact opposite.
Well, there's younger people have cooler personalities, but some of them are just like really camera shy, I think.
I think it's more of just the ones that hate media always hate media, and the ones that don't. And I found that the younger players might be more, I would say, enthusiastic because it's new to them. Like, oh, cool. Yeah. And the older ones are like, oh, okay, let's get it over with,
Because they've been asked a million questions, and you're probably going to ask them something. Like that's what I challenge myself to do in every interview that I do. Is just how can I question or phrase something that they've never heard before, whether I prep it or I like something triggers my brain of something that they're saying. Yeah. Like, because that's what makes you stand out, and that's what makes it fun for them.
Yeah, and you probably relate to this. A lot of times when preparing, I watch other interviews, and I'll be like, oh, I wish she would have asked him blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, cool, write that down. Like, that's something you need to ask.
Ask questions within other questions that they've been asked.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something that nobody does. I'm trying to think. Who is kind of the coolest chemistry-wise interview that you ever did where you knew like 2 minutes in, like this is going to be an awesome sit down for the rest of the interview? Because I've had some of those where I'm like, okay, this is just going to be an easy conversation because they're cool, like personalities mesh, while there's others where I'm like, all right, I'm going down the bullet points on this one.
Before I give credit to a certain player, I need to like preface it with sometimes I not give certain players cooler questions, but I was just thinking the more recent ones. So I'm thinking NBA Summer League, I interviewed 4 guys or 5 guys. So I'm gonna like go through that. Like for example, for Josh Giddey, there was just so much fan attention coming from Twitter that I said, let me gather fan questions. We'll do like a lightning round. So I basically enabled him to have a very fun interview. Like that one got a lot of love because it was fun. I'm like, who's your favorite TikTok collab? And he's talking about Cole Anthony and Giannis versus Chet. I'm talking to Chet like, you got a lot of haters. What's something you want to tell all the people doubting you out there? Versus Sharif O'Neal, that one got a lot of attention because coincidentally he's wearing a Kobe Bryant shirt with Allen Iverson, which was like, okay, you know what? Tell me a little bit about Kobe. And obviously he had a great relationship with him. So he shared a Kobe story that went viral. So it's almost like kind of what I set them up for.
Yeah, and I feel like in person too, you're able to pick up on little things right off the bat and like icebreakers / just like, oh, cool. Like you have that, like I have so-and-so, or like you find like a mutual thing that you have in common and then you click and then all of a sudden, oh, it's time to go. Like that's the best one. I know like I'm having a great conversation with someone before like we even like hit record.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's just get into it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
easy. It's very easy. And at what age did you start modeling?
Huh.
And
I'll
did you want to model when you did that?
No, I'll embarrass myself real quick.
Really?
Yeah. I why did I do it? Oh my God. When I was 16, I think, 16, 17, I ran for Miss New York. Now I'm really trying to remember why, like what drove me to do that. I don't know.
You hated it that much that you don't even remember.
No, I'm a sore loser. No, they reached out to me. Now I thought it was a scam. It was like an email.
Yeah.
Or I had like a little bit of an Instagram following. By a little, I mean maybe 10K at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember they're like, well, why don't you run for Miss New York? And I was like, okay. I did it. Now, although I did not come in first place, it gave me such a confidence boost to maybe almost like it was a competitive thing. Like, you know what, go and do better. Now, I never ran again, but coming out of that, like losing really bothers me. I'm a very
Yeah.
sore loser. I don't like to lose. So coming out of Miss New York, I was like, okay, could that interview have gone better? And I like kind of went over it. Could my walk have been better? Could my smile have been a little more confident? And now obviously I was nervous doing it. And it bothered me how nervous I was. I was like, why were you so nervous? You should have been mentally prepared for this. And although it's so not what I wanted to do, it motivated me to just be the best version of myself. Like, I'm not joking. I went back to school. I think I was a junior or senior at the time, a new person. I was more confident. I was more social. I was just more self aware of things. And although it has nothing to do with like modeling and stuff, it was because of that that my personality changed. So I have to thank them for that.
Mm. See, you got to take the good from the bad sometimes.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I find it very weird that you didn't remember why you got into it in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
I think you get your
He
competitiveness
reached out and I was like, why not?
yeah. I got to get something on my resume, I guess. Like sounds like it could be an intriguing story to tell one day.
My resume was like science Olympiad, math Olympiad, travel math team, travel science team. Um, what was it, like some woman's STEM thing? Miss New York.
Yeah, not bad, not bad at all. Not
Yeah.
everybody can say it, so you probably
True.
get your competitiveness from sports growing up, though.
Oh yeah.
Was
For
your
sure.
family always competitive?
Um, is my family? I've noticed like not as much as me. Like my family, they're all good sports. Like we play family board games. Like you know what? No, that's a lie. We played a family game of Monopoly once, and it turned into like a world war.
Really? Like
We were
in a like
like,
a bad way? Like
it
everybody
was
was
just like we
fighting?
all kept fighting over the real estate. We all wanted Broadway, obviously. It was really funny, but it showed like, okay, that's where I get my competitiveness from. And then I played tennis, my brother and I growing up, and we were competitive just because, like, I'm gonna brag for a little bit. We were good. We were so good. We moved to Miami to train because the competition here was so much better than in New York. So we were both nationally ranked at some point. Um, Hated to lose. I never lost ever, ever, and I never wanted to lose. So much so that really exposing myself here. When I was down in a game, I think it was 40-15, and you haven't lost the game yet. You can come back. It's just 2 points, deuce advantage, whatever. I was like sobbing, like to myself on the court. I don't even know if my opponent could tell, but I'm sitting there and I'm hitting the ball and I'm crying. I'm like, I can't believe I'm down by 2 points. And it's the same, like I'm winning in games, but I'm losing 2 points. That's how like crazy competitive I was. It was actually like a little frightening.
Was the Monopoly game like the craziest you've ever gotten over something that's like ridiculously stupid like that?
Well, like in terms of stupidity, yeah, that was definitely that. Yeah, definitely Monopoly. That was dumb. Or like Uno, like anything. We're just competitive.
That's
Like, oh, you
crazy.
plus two'd me? You wait. You just wait till I get a +4. Just wait. It's coming right to you.
Jeez. Did you ever have to control it at some point? Did anybody tell you like it's not that big of a deal, and you just gotta
Yeah, I have a friend. I have a friend, he makes everything very competitive when it's not a competition.
Yeah.
So we find ourselves competing. It's
Just
like,
to bring it out.
I'll be like, oh, it's 80 degrees today. He'll be like, no, it's 81. I'm like, you want to bet? What are we betting on? And it's funny, honestly. It's like really funny.
Or do you have like any like big, like ridiculous takes that you stand by that you get into arguments with people, like the flat earth argument or anything like that?
I probably do. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to send this to my friend after. Me and my mom started this debate. I'm very grammatically correct with punctuation. I'm a grammar police in terms of like following instructions, in terms of broadcast as well. Like my whole life, it's like there's a set of instructions, you follow it. If there's a way something's supposed to be written, you do it that way. And there's a saying that goes, I couldn't care less. Now, what does that mean? It means you so don't care about something that you physically cannot care less if it was possible to. I couldn't care less. My mom says I could care less. And I'm like, Mom, that means that you have caring left to give, which means you don't care. It means you do care. And now my friends agree with my mom. So it drives me crazy and we get into fights over it. I'm like, it's not, I could care less. It's I couldn't care less. And people argue with me. So I did a Twitter poll and it was actually like half. And I'm like, how do people not understand my point of view? And that's like, it's something I don't drop. Like I constantly fight about it.
I couldn't care less means like you literally whatever. Or like you could care less. It's like, oh, so like you kind of care and you could care less.
I can't wait to show my mom.
Does everybody like have the same definition of those sayings though? Because it's very obvious you couldn't care less. You know what that means. Like you could care less. That's an easy, like I understood the argument that you made there right away, but everybody thinks it's like the same definition as the other term.
No, so she Googled it and she found that it said like they're both socially accepted, but I'm not talking socially. I'm speaking what is physically, mentally, emotionally, grammatically correct. I couldn't care less.
I think
so we can
right.
take a clip of this interview and we can ask all of our followers which one's correct.
I think you're right.
Right.
No, I don't even think it's an argument. Like I picked like
exactly. Oh my God.
Understand.
Okay. I'm happy.
As soon as you explain the definition of couldn't care less, I'm like, yeah, okay. I could care less. And I guess like that was kind of like a glass shattering moment in my brain. I'm like, I have ants who do that too.
So that's my flat earth theory.
Yeah. There's crazy theories out there like that. But I was curious because I'm like, okay, you're a very competitive person. You got to have at least like one argument that you always stick to your guns about.
Do you have one?
None that I win. That's a good question. I should have been more prepared. I didn't think I was going to ask you that question, so I wasn't expecting the rebuttal. I'll text it to you later. There's definitely, I have so many strong beliefs about things. I guess my huge one was like, you don't even need like a high school degree to be successful in life. Or I don't think anybody thinks that at all. And granted, like I got a high school degree, I got a college degree, it's whatever. I think my brother thought about dropping out of college for like a week and my parents like almost disowned him. I'm like, hey, he could probably make it. He's a musician. He moved to Nashville. So it's like, he's going to have to do something in that realm anyways. It's going to be difficult one way or another.
I mean, I think it depends what you're like learning, but that goes state by state.
Okay, yeah. If you're going to be a scientist, you need to go to school.
Here's my argument, and I tell my younger sister this a lot. I don't think in high school, maybe some people know what they want to do, but how can you know what you want to do? Like I switched my mind at 18. So if you maybe close your doors too fast at a young age, you might screw yourself over. Because what if you do decide to become a doctor at 20 and you're like, shoot, I dropped out of high school, or like dropped out of college and I'll be in school till I'm 32, and you might just hurt yourself too early on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or burn out. You see like lawyers and doctors who have to go to school for years on end, and then you realize, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And then what do you do?
Yeah.
Right? You figured it out.
Yeah, I figured it out fast. I was like, nope, not for me.
You think you'd be able to make it in this world without social media? I ask a lot of people this as well.
No.
I agree. I wouldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't have nearly the amount of people I've built friendships with and relationships with in business or anything else without
Yeah, my answer is like a
anything.
strong no.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And it's crazy, like 20, 30 years ago, getting into like broadcast journalism and being a reporter, how difficult it probably was.
Yeah, I never thought about that. You'd have to like fly to like the journalism hub, physically look for people. Oh my God, wow. You're right.
Gotta go to school. You gotta have a decent
Gotta go to
resume,
school.
pay your dues, broadcast for that single A team when you're not making a dime for years
We
on
still
end.
pay our dues.
In a way,
Yeah.
like definitely like when we're out and about, but like even like interactions like this, it's just easy. It's like one click,
Yeah.
hoping that someone says yes and you're cool enough to say yes. So it's like, I think it's way easier connecting with people, especially like you'd have to like send in letters 20 years ago to people if you want to interact with like the guy that you're watching on TV. It's
I
crazy.
haven't written a letter to mail since third grade.
What was the letter?
My friends went to sleepaway camp.
Oh,
Like,
geez.
way I keep in touch with them because we got iPhones. I think they came out, or we had access to them when I was in fourth grade. And the second they came out, we all got them. We were a very like spoiled group of kids. So until we got iPhones, when they went to sleepaway for 2 months, we'd write letters, and that was it.
That's actually pretty sweet. I think I wrote to a friend a few years ago during COVID because they were at like a ministry camp for a summer, or they were away for a ministry overseas, and I wrote a letter because everybody else was doing it. And I have a buddy who's in the Air Force now, and a few people are like, "Do you ever write to him?" I'm like, "No, I got a phone. It's one click away. He'll respond within 24 seconds, as opposed to
Yeah,
like
for real.
24 years." No, but that's great. Like I don't even think about that sometimes of like how difficult it would have been back in the day and how difficult it's still difficult today, but it's easier to at least get your stuff out there. Like, hey, can you look
Yeah,
at this? Bam.
right. I think today social media plays that factor where if you do something cool and impressive and you want to show people, look what I can do. If nobody's watching you, you basically almost force them to watch you. You put it out there. It might not even be by will that they watch you. You might just come up on their explore page. So that's definitely a good way to get out there. And you can see people have whole careers, like entire careers just on social media, if nothing else.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like some people start like you said you had like close to like 10,000 followers when you were what, 17, 16, something
Yeah.
like that. Where'd those ones come from? How'd you get that start?
I think it started when I decided to run for Miss New York.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was always, how do I say this without sounding weird? I was always well known.
Everyone's weird. It's all right.
We're all weird.
Look how ridiculous I look with this mustache. This is a brand new look, this handlebar mustache, and everybody thinks it's awesome. And I can't help but laugh at myself every time I see it.
So my brother and I always were the tennis player siblings. And it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like everybody kind of just knew us.
Yeah.
We'd go to the pizza store and they'd be like, oh, you're back from Miami? How did your tournament go there? And it'd be like, oh, I have a trophy this big in my kitchen now. Or like, I was always Joey Austin's sister, and Joey was always Emily Austin's brother, and all the teachers knew us, and the whole school knew us, and the whole community knew us. We were just always in people's mouths.
Yeah.
So like, I had a lot of followers, even more stalkers, and that was that.
Those are rough.
Yeah.
So I guess you can say you were popular growing up.
Yeah, social. I was very social. Definitely.
Do you ever find yourself like, because again, in this industry, you're talking to so many people, you're just kind of go at times. Do you like alone time and like regaining your thoughts, or are you the type that has to be around people all the time and be social like that?
No. I love being around people and I love events. And I never thought I would burn out because I just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I remember my first burnout was post Super Bowl week because I came back from the Super Bowl. I think my college had a game right away. I traveled to Orlando a week later for more broadcasting, had to go back to school, then had to travel somewhere. And after that whole chaos like segment ended, I didn't want to do anything for like at least 3 days. I was like, nobody even call me at this point. You know, I was really burnt and I needed like a good week to recover.
I don't know if I've gotten to that point yet. I know like sometimes you hang out with friends and you're like, all right, I can't wait to go home to my apartment where nobody's there.
Oh, I
But
haven't
like,
seen my best friend in like, I don't know, like 8 months.
really?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So I travel a lot and then she just got a job too. So now between both of our schedules, she texts me like, oh, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, oh, I'm in Dallas. Oh, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm in Miami. So it's hard.
We're both successful though. That's the good thing. I have people that I know that it's like if you don't contact them for like a week, it's like, oh, are you guys even friends? It's like, well, there's other
Yeah,
people I won't talk to for like 4 months, and it's like we picked up right where we left off. Like
exactly. That's how it
that's
is.
easy. That's true friendship right there. Who are some of those friendships slash mentors slash people that like push you to be better on days when you're not really like in tune with
Um,
yourself?
I would say mostly my mom. She definitely like she was like a hustler herself. She went to law school. She had me in law school. Actually, I have an older brother, so she had me and my brother in
Yeah.
law school and still graduated. So she's kind of like a no excuses person. Her mom's the same way. Her sisters, you know, we're very much no excuses family.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I do have an agent. So like if he ever calls me, there's no chance I'm not answering the phone. Like I'll always answer, always hear, always talk. And I don't really know if I'm at a point that I need that push right now. I'm still very like hungry. But I hope that when I do need the push, I know my mom will be there. She'll be like, get up, you don't have time to waste.
Oh yeah.
Time is of the essence.
That's right. I like you get to that point where it's like, oh, like I feel like I've accomplished everything. And I wonder if you'll get to that point where like, oh, I've really done nothing. Like I'm just getting started. It's like a complete turnaround, like a complete 180. And then like all of these really, really cool ideas start setting your soul on fire. And it's like
Yeah.
a completely different thing. We're like, okay, like we're just getting started now. Like, is there any like specific show or segment or like any project that you'd want to do moving forward that you think obviously that would take a lot of work, but kind of like a dream scenario in your mind that you're
Mhm.
working towards?
Wow. Um, I would say my dream, let's say job, my dream job would definitely be some sort of studio show.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself really enjoying to like have post game conversations. So like as of now, let's say we're watching the finals. I know the second the game ends, it's like, okay, I can't wait to go on Twitter spaces and talk about it. So I definitely see myself one day like having a studio show. Ideally, I'd love a co-host to like bounce off of and just like talk about the show and be like, you know, the Celtics really performed well tonight. Oh, I thought he could have shot a little better. Like just almost analyze it, but in a friendly, conversational way. I really do also like though, which is conflicting. Not really conflicting. I feel like you could do both, but not simultaneously. I love the sideline job. Like I love the chaos of, okay, you know, he's player of the game. I'll interview him, and then 2 seconds later he scores a buzzer beater. It's like, nope, you're interviewing him now, and that live scene chaos. I love that too. So you definitely can't do a post game studio show and sideline reporting.
Not
So I
in
feel
the
like
same
maybe
night anyway.
not
I
the same night. Yeah.
I love some of those sideline reporters that like get the shot of them running out with like 200 different people trying to find the player of the game or at least
Yeah.
someone to talk to. And it's like, oh my God, that is so like the one word
Yeah.
you use to describe that is chaotic.
It
It's
definitely.
absurd. Do you think you could do like, would you like in the essence of doing a studio show, like for a network or like your own thing where, because you talk about wanting it to be more conversational and less like produced and less scripted in that
Yeah.
sense? Like, would it be with a network that you'd want to do it with? Obviously, you want to surround yourself with a good team.
Yeah. As of now, I don't know yet if I would do my own thing or do my own thing for a network, maybe like maybe even start your own show. I haven't really figured that part out yet. But if ESPN came knocking at my door, like, hey, Emily, why don't you bring Daily Vibes with Emily to ESPN? I'll consider it.
Hell yeah, why not? And then you got to like get into the business side of it though. Like, how much are they going to own it? Or are they going to be
Oh,
like,
Wasserman, that's your job.
yep. How did you find them, or did they find you?
Yeah, they reached out to me.
Yeah.
I found out later my agent represents two of my friends, like in the basketball world. And I was like, oh, that's how you found me.
See, it pays to know the right people, right? It's
Well,
crazy.
like, honestly, I don't even know. I'm gonna ask my agent. I'm like, how'd you find me? I never asked him that
You've
before.
never asked him that?
I never asked him. I feel like he wouldn't even know at this point. It's been 2 years. I'll let you know.
Huh. Yeah, I'd ask him. I'd ask him how he found you.
You know, I'm curious.
That's very interesting. Now that'd be awesome to like bring like something that you started as like a YouTube channel and to bring it into like a studio and to be able to look back on something like that.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever like, because obviously with like a social media page or like your Instagram feed, you're able to just like have everything and like click of your fingers.
Yeah.
Do you like keep any of these like memories? Is there anything that sticks out to you like in growing, like things that you started out from that you're still very proud of? Because I know a lot of people will look back at things and be like, wow, I was really proud of that in the moment, but like I suck looking back at it now. Is there anything that like really stands out to you, like whether there's like a scrapbook somewhere or certain moments, certain pictures you have saved in your phone, like things that you're really proud of?
Really proud of, I would definitely say, maybe I keep talking about it because it was just the most recent thing besides the press conference. NBA Summer League, it's like the word of the hour. It
Yeah.
was very chaotic.
Oh yeah.
And to be able to, you were there,
Yeah.
to be able to navigate through the chaos and still secure interviews, I was very like grateful that I was able to, because these players have crazy schedules. This rookie orientation threw off like 5 of my interviews. I was supposed to have so many more lottery picks, and come like 2 hours before the interview, hey, I have rookie orientation till 10 p.m. I'm like, what? Like, I had this whole studio set up and everything. And that's kind of just how it is. Like, things come up, you have to, adapt, improvise. I remember I locked in an interview like an hour before it happened. Or like, I'm interviewing Scottie Pippen Jr. and Sharif O'Neal walks by. I was supposed to interview him like a whole different day. I was like, come, let's just do it now. Like, just get it over with, because who knows if tomorrow's guaranteed.
Yeah.
And navigating the chaos, I remember after that, I was like, the second I got on the plane home, I was like, it's done. You're good.
In the moment, you're just like, oh, okay, I got the segment done. And then you just like, oh God, you're just winded after that. You're just like, oh, almost feel like crap. Like I was supposed to do 3 separate segments at the NBA Summer League. We ended up doing one big one. It was supposed to be one-on-one with the kid Gowie, one-on-one with Jason Zone Fisher, one-on-one with Noah Eagle. And we all just ended up doing it like a 4-person show. And they were just all bouncing off of each other the entire time. Gowie was doing impressions of like Jay-Z and Stephen A. Smith. Noah Eagle was doing his best Barack Obama. Like it was actually just like really fun, And like you talk about like bringing out a side of people that no one really sees. Like that's really fun.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And then after you're just like, holy shit, like, like you're just exhausted because it's like getting everybody and like scrambling and worrying in the back of your head. Like, oh God, like I got a plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E.
I want to tell you, I didn't
ridiculous.
eat in Vegas.
You didn't eat at all?
Mm-mm.
I'm trying to think.
I got my coffee in the morning, and then it was just all day, nonstop action, all day.
That's where we're different. I feel like every few hours, I'm like, okay, I have to eat something just to stay positive.
That's what the coffee did. So
That's all, just coffee?
every day.
Really?
To be fair, I was there for 4 days, but I find that happening a lot. There's been days where you just like, maybe I'm too mentally stimulated, but I can't find time to like stop what I'm doing. It's not even the time, like it's quick to go get food, but it's to stop what you're doing to go get food. That's where it gets annoying. So I was just like, it's not worth it. I'm not even that hungry.
What are
And
your
then 4 days
favorite?
later, I'm like starving.
What are your favorite things to eat?
Oh, I'm such a foodie. I
But
love,
you can go a day without eating food. It makes no sense.
but I love it. I have a joke, like my favorite food on the whole planet is rice. Just because you can eat it so many different ways.
Yeah.
I eat it with lemon, which apparently people say is weird, but I love it. Soy sauce. You can have fried rice. You can have egg fried rice. You can put spices in it, spicy rice, like veggie rice. I don't know. It's just you can mix it up all the time. And then steak, and then pasta. Ugh, I love every food.
There you go. I'm a big steak guy.
I love steak. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to we have a Longhorn Steakhouse like 5 minutes from my apartment. Went there for school all 4 years, had over 100 steaks in the 4-year period there, and now they let me eat for free. So I'm kind of like their
way.
local celebrity.
Wow.
There,
That's cool.
there was one time, and I actually have never told this story on a podcast before. I did I have comedian buddies who do stand up. They let me do stand up and tell this story. But Post Malone was there one night. He was touring. I don't know. I guess he was just like on a tour, and he was in Phoenix for the night. Big foodie, came in to get a steak at Longhorn Steakhouse. And I walked in behind him. I'm like, oh my God, like this was 2019, like 3 years ago. And I'm like, oh God, that's Post Malone. And they're just like, oh yeah, like it's kind of a big wait. It was a Saturday night. And they were just like, oh, Jack's back. Get Jack his booth. And they sat me before they sat Post Malone.
That's a flex.
I felt so like that was probably like the highest moment of my life. I'm just like, see ya, Austin.
Wow. If I didn't keep kosher, I would probably eat steak every day.
Yeah. Are you? Oh, that's probably the biggest argument I have with people. I'm glad we got to this full circle moment. I don't think red meat is bad for you, like everybody says it does. I don't think you can eat it every single day, but I think you can eat it well more as long as it's fresh. I don't think red meat is bad for your heart. I think they say red meat is bad for your heart.
But I'll tell you this much. Unless you are planning to be a raw vegan, every single thing you're going to put in your mouth is bad for you. So do you want to live a shorter life but have a happier life, or be a raw vegan and live till 100 and not even enjoy a thing you put in your mouth?
I agree.
Say that a lot.
But the fact that you didn't 100% agree with me there tells me I need to eat less steak.
I mean, scientifically, pre-med dropout, meat and dairy both are very bad. I would say for gut health because it causes a lot of inflammation, not to mention cholesterol. Like I'm not even talking about that because I run a lot, so like I'll be fine. But in terms of inflammation and like acidity, it's not the best for you.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
I got to do more research.
As you will.
I got to do more research. Last question for you, because I said like 30 or 40 minutes and I always go over. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Dream interview. Because I asked like the dream scenario, dream project. Who's kind of like the dream guest that kind of like got you into this in the first place? Someone that you wanted to interview.
Ooh. I have two different answers for that question. Dream interview, right now on my screen, I'm watching The Last Dance. And now it's Michael Jordan. I mean, who wouldn't? But
yeah.
like, I really like it'll happen. I'm telling you. I don't know when, who, what, where, how, but it's gonna happen. And why did I get into it? You want to laugh?
We'll see if you can make
12.
me laugh.
You won't laugh. But I was 12 and I was training in Miami for tennis, and the Heat won their championship. And now my dad comes home with a t-shirt for me with this guy covered in tattoos, head to toe. And anyway, it was Birdman, who I didn't know at the time, but I still have that t-shirt, and it's so sentimental to me because that was my first taste I didn't even know basketball was before then. So I guess Birdman is the reason I even got into it.
See, he's one of those like role players that you wouldn't know about unless he had like the persona that he had with all the tattoos and the nickname behind it. It's kind of like Brian Scalabrine.
We have the same agent.
There you go.